You're watching HFO-TV.
Hi, I'm Greg Frick. Welcome back to HFO-TV. Today we're here with Troy Doss, Senior Planner of the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability and the Central City team of the City of Portland. Today we'll be covering some questions about the Central City 2035 plan regarding housing and apartments. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I guess the first thing we want to talk about is kind of what is the Central City concept plan?
So the Central City concept plan is an update of our 1988 Central City plan, and that's actually a follow-up of the 1972 downtown plan, which really tried to reinvigorate interest in investment and living and working downtown. The plan in '88 had run its course, about 25 years old. We've accomplished most of the policies and objectives of it, so it was time to give a new finish to it and put a little new direction in there.
Okay. What were some of the big ideas in the 1988 plan that have been accomplished?
So the '88 plan looked beyond the traditional downtown core that most people think of, the Central Business District, where Pioneer Place and the retail core is. And it looked at properties both north of Burnside, so the River District, Pearl, Chapeltown, Chinatown, South Waterfront. And it made the big leap across the river because the downtown plan really was focused on the west side. So it brought in the Lloyd District, Lower Albina, and the Central East Side as major districts of the Central City.
Gotcha. So for right now, the concept plan for 2035 encompasses all those districts? They expanded it all from geographically?
Yeah, so we're covering the same ground, looking at kind of updating our plans for there, what's our new approach for the next 25 years there, okay. Adding some couple new things that have come along the way, new challenges, new opportunities, and keeping what's working, quite honestly, as well.
Got it. So how far east does it go from a Central City? Is that?
So on the Central East Side, it goes out to about 12th Avenue.
Okay.
In the Lloyd District area, it goes out to almost 20th at this point.
Okay.
Just beyond the Lloyd District.
So kind of right before the start of kind of the more heavy residential.
Exactly. Sullivan's Gulch area would be the dividing line.
And how far north?
Broadway in the Lloyd, and then it creeps down along the waterfront up into the Lower Albina area. So Russell Street,
okay.
Where Woodmere Brewery is, that would be about the northern boundary.
And Emmanuel Hospital, is that within the plan?
It's just outside.
Just outside the plan. Okay, gotcha. Okay. So how does the concept plan differ from past plans in addressing housing needs within the, I guess we'll call it the core here?
Sure. The '88 plan and even the '72 plan were really trying to recoup housing that had been lost during the '50s and post-war era. We had lost some of them over 25,000 homes, a lot of it due to urban renewal projects and the development of the freeways. And we lost some significant neighborhoods at that point as well. So the '72 plan was trying to bring eyes back on the street, bring in a population that could reoccupy downtown, worker housing, and just overall increase the livability of the place. Didn't get too far. The '88 plan really tried to jumpstart that again, both in the west side as well as the east side. Didn't accomplish as much on the east side. Not really sure why. We're working on that right now. But on the west side, a lot of tremendous growth over there. New districts such as the River District, Pearl specifically, a lot of growth in the West End, South Waterfront, and Goose Hollow.
Right. How much, I guess, authority or what can, as a city put this plan in place? I mean, are they gonna, is it looking at changing zoning? Is it tax incentives? I mean, what's kind of the way they can energize getting these goals accomplished?
Some I think it was just market demand. I think in the west side there was more of a demand for housing than there has been on the east side. There's a lot of fine grain in close-in neighborhoods on the east side, so it hasn't increased the demand that much. We're starting to see more interest though. The west side there was much more, and most of our dollars spent on subsidizing affordable housing really occurred on the west side. So that and other investments in urban renewal that were more focused on neighborhood development, especially those you've seen in the River District, are a direct result of that.
Okay. The city projects over 280,000 of new residents in the year 2035. Sure. Mm-hmm. Are they also projecting maybe difference in family structure and housing needs and how you encompass that within the plan?
Yeah, so the '88 plan was really focused on getting housing going. So we had some pretty generous housing bonuses for doing residential development, but we weren't specific about the type of housing that was created.
Right.
So we created somewhere in the neighborhood of over 15,000 units. We have about 23,000 units now in the Central City. Most of them are on the west side. That's a result of both housing bonuses and urban renewal dollars used to help generate that. The majority of the housing, though, consists of one-bedroom studio apartments. That'd be about 80% of our housing stock. We've done a good job of attracting young people here. They want to stay, they're raising families, they like to stay here. The ones who are middle-aged would like to retire here. So we have a huge demand for senior housing, for family-compatible housing, and an increasing demand now for student housing because the university growth, both with OHSU, PSU, OCOM, PNCA is tremendous, and students who attend there would like to live in close into the central city as well. So what we've seen, focusing on family compatible housing, for instance, we're seeing something on the neighborhood of about 70 children being born to families who live in the Pearl. On the west side wide, you're probably looking at somewhere between 110 to 120 per year. So one of the things we put in place in the North Pearl area recently was a family compatible housing bonus that said if you could build residential units, whether it's an apartment or for condo, was regardless, of 2 and 3 bedrooms, we would give you additional FAR floor area for your building. Now we did set the limits a little bit low because right now the unit size would be, we weren't going to give a bonus for a penthouse, for instance, but we would give a bonus for something that was more along the lines of a unit you might find outside the central city, 1,200 square foot, that type of range.
Okay, so it's not just a bonus top floor units, you want it within the development.
One within the unit, we also want to have a critical mass of units, so at least 20. Not 40. We'd like to see something of family gathering spaces provided on each floor and a major space somewhere in the building, as well as outdoor gathering space when the weather's better. And there's actually a perfect example of that. If you look at the Ramona project that was completed about 2 years ago in the Pearl, that is an excellent example of the kind of family compatible housing we were envisioning.
And what about moving forward? Are there any developments now in place that are taking advantage of that added bonus or?
Not that we're aware of as yet. There's a whole lot of noise out there about projects about to come in for review, but we have yet to see them. So.
Okay. Yeah. As your guidelines come in and the planning department works with the zoning as to what we're going to do allowable for adjustments or bonuses?
We will advise at design review for those types of projects. Any major project occurring in the central city or downtown area is going to go through design review. So it's not uncommon for us to be there and answer.
And that's when you come into the, gotcha. Okay. And what do you do about workforce housing? Everything's been developed, lately. If you look at the Pearl, South Waterfront seems to be that higher economic demographic.
Yeah, what we see is we've done a really good job of providing housing for those making 30% MFI and below, and a lot for market rate. It's that 60 to 120 that's the real problem. And there's not a lot of programs out there. The city's not subsidizing much of that right now, neither or the state or the federal government. So that will become a problem over time. We've heard demands from the Portland Business Alliance as well as other neighborhood interests that we need to be providing more support for workforce housing. It's a tough nut to crack financially. At the moment, I think we're okay, because if you look at the corridors and the neighborhoods immediately just outside the central city, you'll find a vast supply of affordable stock for workers in that range within a 20-minute bike, bus, car ride. So we're not there yet, but in a 25-year plan, we need to be cognizant of that. We need to start thinking about strategies we can put in place for that.
So when you're doing your plan, you're also looking at, maybe it's not within the central city, but you're looking at what's going on around it as to how do we adjust what we need inside the core?
Definitely. So when we're looking at a housing strategy, we're looking outside the central city as well. We're looking at the corridors that are coming in, so everything on the inner east side, inner northeast, and even on the west side, some of the corridors coming down through Barber and Macadam into the city.
Okay. How do you deal with the neighborhood that's going from, heavy industrial use to now more what we call, creative office? I mean, what do you do with the industrial? Is that part of the still, keeping in the core? Are we looking to move that out to other, easier access for freeway, rail car? I mean, how do you deal with that from a planning standpoint?
That's funny you should ask. So we're just starting the Southeast Quadrant plan. I'm leading that effort. And so one of the things we're looking at is what's the nature of industrial and employment in the inner city area, especially in this area. So this area has an industrial sanctuary on it right now. The concept plan actually refers to it as an employment industrial sanctuary because the nature of industry is changing. And so we're looking at really trying to increase job densities over here beyond just preserving land for strictly industrial use. We're finding that the nature of industry is changing. So a place that maybe employed 50 people and was packing fruit or manufacturing now may have an equal number or more software designers, which is also considered industry this time. So and the film industry is another big thing that's starting to occur over here. But they all fall within industrial classification. So what we're trying to figure out is what tools can we apply to keep the rents over here fairly affordable for this entrepreneurial ship we're seeing, but really diversify the types of employment we see here.
So more kind of number of employees based on keeping it, but again, it's not service retail, it's still industrial, different kind of industrial.
We would want to be limiting the amount of retail as we currently do and not be introducing residential either. And we have a tremendous amount of residential capacity over here, quite honestly. The MLK Grand Corridor, Burnside Corridor, for that matter, Belmont as well. Right. They're zoned such, and they have high entitlements that would easily accommodate additional housing when the demand reaches.
Okay. I mean, we hear rumors about moving the freeways off the river on the east side, covering 405. I mean, was that concept in the plan, or is that kind of futuristic down the road? Love to get it done, we could do it.
Well, it's a big financial lift, and we need to have support with our partners, with ODOT as well as the federal government. Right now, they're not quite there. However, the plan did look at, and will continue as we do the west side quadrant plan. So we're doing the west quadrant plan and southeast at the same time. Freeway capping comes up a lot in our conversations with the West End and Goose Hollow and the Pearl and the Northwest District. So we'll be looking at that as a 25-year horizon that might be possible. With regard to the freeway on the east side, Mayor Adams, right before he left, had passed with council a document that basically showed how you could bury the freeway in place. It didn't really address all the cost impacts of that, but what it did do is determine through some engineering studies that you could bury it in place, and it removed the ambiguity of where would it go on the east side, which was causing some concern from the real estate market, as you can imagine.
Yeah, how far out it's going to go, what's what's going to impact.
So it provided a little bit of certainty that if we were to do it, we would do it in place, and that removed the risk of should I invest in my property because you may be coming at us in 30 years and trying to take it out. So,
Got it. Okay. And then how often do you do these plans?
About 25 years for a plan like this, maybe 30. You know, the Central City, it seems like we've been planning forever, because once the 88 plan was adopted, the world changed a little bit in terms of our perspective on the west side. There was renewed interest in going north of Burnside to do the River District plan. So what was once called the north of Burnside project, and then the Northwest Triangle became the River District, and then that broke into separate focuses of different aspects of the Pearl District. And we've been kind of planning there about every couple of years to keep pace with development.
Okay.
South Waterfront's another one we've done along the way once there was an interest in serious investment in the district.
So the concept plan is more of a large overview, and then it's not a static a plan, so to speak. It's always changing as the economics change, demand changes.
It's trying to set course for what are we trying to achieve globally in the Central City. So it develops a housing strategy, an economic development strategy, really setting the Central City as the regional center. Looks at the arts community and its role here, looks at healthy environment and healthy buildings, and the overall urban form of the Central City. Each individual neighborhood is going to respond to that differently. Right. And so that's where we're at now. We're going to do these quadrant plans. We're now getting down to that level as what's the role of this neighborhood in fulfilling those goals and policies.
Got it. So a little more of a granular level with each neighborhood, how it's going to backfill in what the overall concept is.
In many ways, it's kind of like the comprehensive plan for the Central City.
Gotcha. Okay. And then does this plan go into the comprehensive plan for the whole city then? Is that kind of the base of?
Typically, that's how it works.
Got it. Yeah. So it just layers on each other?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Well, thanks again for coming in. That was good information. They can find more of this information is available online, I take it?
It is online.
Okay, we'll post it too on our website as well. Thanks again, Troy, for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on HFO-TV. Thanks. Cool. Great. Thank you.
Thanks for watching HFO-TV. To learn more about HFO, call or visit our website. See new listings, apartment news, videos, and more when you download our apps at the Android and iPhone markets.